A conflux of the old and new clash at Paladin Stadium on this opening day of USL League One Soccer 2024 edition. It's the longtime standard Greenville Triumph hosting the brand new Spokane Velocity FC. Welcome one and all to this broadcast here on ESPN Plus. My name is Mark Schoenster, and as always, I am joined by Ross Davenport for another year. First off, the old guard, Greenville Triumph, with some new faces, Ross.
Yeah, a ton of changes. We're not used to this with Greenville, right? They used to maintain that roster year to year, but almost a completely new midfield for the most part this year. Some key additions. Christian Garney, he'll start between the pipes tonight. And at the bottom there, the real key one, Sebastian Velasquez, the hometown boy, coming back to Greenville.
Velasquez, as you mentioned, the highlight acquisition for this Greenville team this offseason, has a wealth of experience in the USL Championship, and you get the added bonus of he's coming to play for his hometown club in Greenville.
Yeah, also with some MLS experience. He played Greenville High School back in his former day, I want to say his older days, but yeah, we're looking excited to see him tonight in the middle of the park for Greenville.
Meanwhile, for Spokane, although a new club, got some old faces to mess with, including Derek Waldeck.
Yeah, Derek Waldeck finished 2022 with Greenville before starting every game but 3 last year for one. Knocks him play either side of the back. Loves to get forward when he can.
And maybe the main highlight player, at least for today, for Spokane Velocity, is Luis Heel. League One fans know what he's capable of for the past 2 years with the Owls of Union Omaha. He's a lethal player, Ross, and they're going to be relying on him to provide some of the goal-scoring chances.
Yeah, I mentioned a huge part of Omaha's super successful campaign last season. California native, over 150 MLS appearances. Lee Veeman's going to rely on him heavily in the middle, mostly to create. He was second in League One assists last season, but he's also a lethal finisher if you give him the time and space.
Luis Heel could be key to finding a victory today and will be key to finding victories throughout this season for this brand new club. Well, fans, just one more break to go between us and the start of the best league in the world. At least that's our humble opinion, but I'm sure you share that sentiment. It's the Greenville Triumph and the Spokane Velocity FC coming up next.
You know, I'm just feeling a lot of pressure. There's big shoes to fill.
It's your time now, Tommy. I know you'll keep it special like your dad did.
If we can keep this business growing, I think that's the best way to honor him.
Well, I was there for him, and I'll be there for you.
About this new location?
He would have loved it, Tommy. Let's find a way.
Welcome to Wood Creek Dental, where dental care is a family tradition. For over 40 years, we are proud to be a family-owned practice serving the community of Greenville, South Carolina. At Wood Creek Dental, we believe in quality care and exceptional service. Our experienced dentists and dedicated staff are committed to your oral health. We've invested in modern technology and have created a relaxing atmosphere for your comfort and peace of mind. We prioritize your experience in our calm and caring atmosphere. Our commitment to providing you and your family with exceptional service is at the heart of everything we do, and our patient-centered approach builds relationships based on trust and confidence. Experience the difference for yourself. Wood Creek Dental. Dental care from our family to yours.
This USL League One broadcast is brought to you by ScanSource, official partner of the Greenville Triumph. Starting 11 for the first time this season, Ross.
Yeah, despite all the additions, only 3 newcomers actually make Rick Wright's starting 11. Velasquez, Herrera, and then 19-year-old Jamaican Zion Scarlett will making their midfield debuts in green. Back four should look very familiar. Brandon Fricky, the new captain for the Triumph. Mohamed Say, Carlos Anguiano miss out in the 18 due to minor injuries.
Of course, new head coach Rick Wright. We'll talk more about him for the Greenville Triumph. This lineup brought to you by Pelham Medical Center. And now, the first 11 in the history in an official match for Spokane Velocity FC.
It's exciting stuff, right? Bit of a surprise, though. No Roman Metanere in the starting 11. The highly experienced French right-back rookie Javier Martin Hill gets his start at the right-back spot instead. Keep an eye on this front four. Lee Veeman's very talented group of attackers. If Josh Dolling gets a service, he could get from those 3 behind him. He'll finish them, that's for sure.
Dolling coming over from New Mexico United and Las Vegas Lights last year, splitting his time between those two championship clubs. And there's the brand new Velocity donning their away kits. Luis Heel donning the captain's armband as they look to begin their League One voyage. And they'll be up against the Greenville Triumph, who have been here all 5 seasons prior and are looking to get back to competing for cups.
The amount of experience Luis Hill has, it's hard to believe he's only 30 years old, right? 167 MLS appearances. Also 2 caps for USA back in the day.
Our officiating crew is led by Nick Rodfate today. 60 degrees in Greenville, which means it's beautiful weather for soccer temperature-wise. And the heartbeat of American soccer has returned. It is the Greenville Triumph and Spokane Velocity here.
It was a little wet earlier in the day. Triumph staffers were a little concerned about how things would be at kickoff, but it's turned into a beautiful evening. We'll see if the surface is a little slick early on here. Tyler Pollack with the ball. Obviously lost Aaron Walker, but the core of that leadership grew back with Pollack, Fricky, Evan Lee back in defensive midfield, where he spent most of last year after playing center back previously.
Yeah, a lot of questions going into this offseason, especially after the announcement of John Harkes stepping away. The head coach for the first 5 years of this Greenville Triumph program, the winningest head coach in league history. And in his place steps Rick Wright, who's been an assistant all 5 years for this Greenville Triumph club. So they decided to stay in-house. And with a guy, as we get a breakaway moment here, Castro trying to track it down, but getting there first is Marcelo Lage.
I texted John the other day to wish him happy birthday. He won't be at the game tonight. So I wish them well. He try to get to a game later in the spring. It's probably a good thing to step back a little bit, let the new group sort themselves out. Mark Ward, new assistant coach as well.
Talking about the new head coach, Rick Wright. Not only has he been with the Triumph for the past 5 years, but this is a guy who's been involved in South Carolina soccer since the 70s, from the youth level to starting college programs like Anderson to, of course, the pro level with the Greenville Triumph. I mean, his name can be found in the history of South Carolina soccer growth in many avenues. And now he's getting the chance to coach a pro club, a club he's been with for the past 5 years. Really exciting for him.
Listen, it was a hiring that made sense, right? Everybody was excited to see perhaps who would replace John Harkes, but I think the smart move. Went far off last year. Obviously, their worst ever finish, finishing 5th, lost to the Independents in the playoffs, but completely retooled midfield. They brought in some pace. They brought in some more athleticism, including that man right there, young Jamaican Zion Scarlett.
Let's take a look at our keys to the game, brought to you by Acumen IT. First off, for Greenville, when we talked to Rick Wright, he said we need to have 11 good defenders on the field. You can't have any guys who are cheaping out on that side of the ball. You're missing the boat if that's the case. Meanwhile, for Spokane, they're still early on in the process. They're developing their style. They're figuring out what they want to do and how they're going to do it with the players. They're not even 30 days into training with this squad, so they're still developing that brand and identity, so they're going to try to stick to what they've figured out so far. And if they can stick to their brand, then they're going to have success throughout the season. That's kind of the energy I got from Lee Wiedman, the head coach of this team, as we get some pressure here from Zion Scarlett, pressing in on Carlos Mirancio, a keeper that League One fans will be familiar with. Here's a feed inside, and Velasquez wiping out, trying to get it away. Some hectic moments here defensively for Spokane.
Yeah, even I talked to coaches last year when the new CBA came in, which shortened the preseason. A lot of coaches said these first few games of the actual season are more like just an extended preseason. And especially now with 8 teams making the playoffs, right? There's not that urgency to start off the season super hot. Obviously, Greenville didn't start the season well at all last year, but got things going in the end. But now with 8 teams versus previously only 6 teams made the playoffs, it's not. Listen, neither of these 2 teams are going to look the same mid-season as they do tonight. It's almost an extended preseason here.
Certainly. Talking a little bit about USL Spokane, led by Ryan and Katie Harnato, Jordan Tampion, and Whitney Aquis. They'll play their first home game next weekend. Their home base being One Spokane Stadium, which will seat about 5,000, which is awesome.
Excited to see that facility.
It's always fun to see a brand new club enter the fray in USL League One and how they will impact the vibe of the league. Being the only new club this year stepping in as North Carolina FC makes the jump back up the championship, so still at 12 clubs.
See a big jump next year, though, if all the rumored teams end up coming to fruition. Obviously, the news this week that Brooklyn looks like Brooklyn may go to USL Championship rather than USL League One. I'm sure many away fans are looking forward to that trip to New York City. Might not happen for League One fans, but certainly a bonus for the championship. So look at Pierre Reedy.
One player who came over from the Charleston Battery with Lee Viedman. He was the assistant coach there for the Battery team that made it all the way to the final, and we're very close to winning the final, but crazy events occurred that USL Championship final game as this shot not quite on target, but also not too far off. That was Kimarni Smith, the Englishman from Nottingham.
The English coach, 3 English starters tonight. Kimarni Smith, the 4th overall pick, MLS Super Draft back in 2021. 20-plus MLS appearances, a good handful of appearances in the championship as well. It's a pretty serious midfield Viedman's got himself here. See how long it's going to take them to gel.
Ball fed forward for Velasquez. The hometown kid in his first game with Greenville. Velasquez sends it inside and falling on top of it. Carlos Marancio. There he is, 33 years old, but plays like he's a lot younger. That's what Rick Wright was telling us.
Interesting to see Storm get wide there early. He's going to be listed as playing more of a 10, but can play out wide if necessary with his 4-2-3-1. That gives him a little more options out wide, Greenville. So John Harkes tinker with 4 in the middle, 5 in the middle at times over the last couple of years. Rick Wright said he tried 3 at the back in preseason. It didn't go very well at all. We'd heard rumors of that, obviously with 3 solid center backs. Polak has played center back, mostly left back in his career, but has played the left side of a center 3 when needed. He also played wing back, as has Schultz.
Castro bringing it forward, tried to send it to the middle.
He said it was an unmitigated disaster, basically, and now they've gone back to the 4. The velocity.
Reedy with some space. Into the 18 he goes. Reedy squares the ball, and it's behind Dulling, but he'll track it down. Now Smith with a turn, plays it back to Dulling. Shot goes flying, and it's straight into the hands of Garner. That was Colin Fernandez who had the shot at the top of the 18. Christian Garner with his first real save of the season. Also wish him a happy birthday, turning 24 today.
Yeah, Rick Wright said the goalie battle was going to come down to the end. He wouldn't even tell us on Thursday who was starting at keeper.
I think it was less of a he wouldn't tell us and that he didn't actually have an answer yet.
Gunther Rankenberg back from last year's Jared Mazzola's backup. So it'll be the weekly battle between those two. We've heard coaches say that in the past, though. Listen, I know at the heart every coach wants to have that same keeper in there with the same voice behind that back 4 every game. It's also good to have that battle if one keeper is struggling at times. Greenville has had such a history of great goalies, Mark. He's got some big shoes to fill here.
Can't even keep him around.
Right, end up going elsewhere and moving up for sure. Mazzol obviously up to Sacramento USL Championship now. It's a foul there. And Castro's grabbing that right ankle.
Castro, another returnee from last season.
Was relatively healthy last year. You know, Castro, despite his mid-30s age, just take another look at this one here. Ooh, just got clipped on the way through.
Mentioned the goalkeeper battle. They split minutes in the preseason. You mentioned they tried the 3-back system. Rick Wright said in the preseason the first scrimmage was a massive challenge. He said they had about 10 trialists in that game. It was not their best session, but a good learning moment. They only kept 2 of the trialists from that game, and then said there was a massive step forward in their next scrimmage against Atlanta United 2. He said the guys are still getting to know each other, but the comfortability is growing.
We talked to Lee Viedman about the recruitment process, especially as a new USL League One team, and he said the hardest part was the waiting game, waiting for these guys that wanted to wait and see if they got a championship offer perhaps, or from one of the higher spending USL League One teams perhaps, and then ending up coming down to the Spokane, right? Some people wanted to get involved with a new project like this.
Greenville winning the ball back in the opponent's final third. And here they come in from the left-hand side.
So every new team has to come in and establish a culture, right? Greenville did that from the beginning. So good from the top down in that organization. And that's why they've been able to retain so much veteran talent over the years. Jamie Smith tracking that one back. His dad Dean now obviously coaching MLS. Good to see. Watching his social medias in the preseason, very excited about his dad playing at Charlotte.
Hey fans, welcome to the 2024 USL kickoff presented by Terminix. Throughout the month of March, the USL will be kicking off across the country. Join us for all the action on ESPN and CBS sports platforms. You go ahead, Ross.
I was going to say, we're looking at this beautiful new goalkeeper kit, modeled by Mr. Garner here this evening. I think it was based on the poinsettias, Mark, if I'm correct. My memory fails me sometimes. Greenville, obviously, with the new home kits tonight, with the scarf sash. Some great kits every year. It seems like they get better every year.
I'm a sucker for the sash. And on the Spokane side, kind of love the uniqueness of it. I mean, there's not another club that can make their kit look specifically the way they've got theirs. Obviously, you can see the bars in a standard jersey, but obviously it's like a twist on the typical vertical stripes.
You do see Velasquez certainly playing a little more out wide than we thought he would, Mark. It's almost like a 4-4-2. Scarlett up top. He can play as a number 10 alongside Castro. It does look like Velasquez more on the right wing. So we'll keep you abreast of the situation in the other early game. The 7 o'clock start in Lexington. That could be a fun one. It's Northern Colorado. Lexington with so many off-season moves that open some eyes. Cameron Lancaster captaining the side tonight.
Yeah, boy, did they make some additions in the offseason. And then you throw in new head coach Darren Powell, and that seems like an exciting unit over there in Kentucky.
We've seen in every league in the world, just because you spend money doesn't always translate to success, especially early on in the season. But we'll see what happens in that one. We'll keep you abreast of that situation in Lexington.
Heel distributes to Smith. They'll send it out wide, square in the middle. Dulling takes a shot, it's blocked. Evan Lee getting in the way. First big chance for either team.
Josh Dowling finding a big soft spot in the middle of that Greenville defense. He'll want that one back. Should have perhaps managed to get it on target. There was a bunch of green bodies in the way. Dowling had all the time in the world.
And we've got a foul just inside the 18. They're pointing to the spot. Nick Crodfate awarding a penalty to Spokane. Let's take a look at that again.
Just swiped at it. It's Ryan McKinnon, not in a spot he's used to finding himself in, deep inside. Whether he made contact or not, I'm not sure. Referee Fate thought so, and that's all that really matters. Minutes in, we got our first penalty of the season.
Josh Dulling, the 26-year-old center forward, one of the Englishmen you referred to earlier. Split his minutes last season with New Mexico United in the Las Vegas Lights. And he'll be up against Christian Garner. Just 3 appearances last year with the Riverhounds, and in his first start with the Triumph. Dulling winds up, and Spokane are off and running. 1-0 with the velocity on the road.
Well taken. Spot kick by Josh Dowling, picked his spot. Low left. Power on it. Make a kick. Last year's US Open Cup. Mexico United. 6-0 win over the UDA Soccer Academy. You can see Ryan McKinnon put his hands to his head. Finally went the right way, but committed too late. Too much power on that from Josh Dowling, the first ever goal scorer in Spokane Velocity history.
I'm sure the fans at Brick West Brewing are elated right now. Shout out to them in the watch party all the way over in Washington. And their supporters group, the 509 Syndicate.
Hopefully not too much beer was spilled. I won't blame them if there was, though. See a momentous moment in Velocity's short history. Some work for Greenville to do here at home. John Darling should have scored seconds before the penalty. Didn't find the back of the net. Open play. Sorry, didn't find the net open play, but did find it from the spot.
Whistle blown will be Greenville ball. I talked to Lee Viedman a little bit about the community in Spokane. I asked him, you know, what's their makeup? What has he learned about them over the few months that he's lived there? And he said that we've got a community that's bought in, and it's a community that's very competitive. So you can thank programs like Gonzaga basketball for that one, which of course is always a competitor and a contender to win the NCAA men's title every single year. He said, that being said, they also understand that new things take time, as we get a look at Coach Viedman. And he said that the fans are prepared for the journey that's coming. But boys, it's off to a good start here. Called it a blue-collar railroad city. They expect hard work from our guys and from the staff.
Greenville, they also have minor league hockey, minor league baseball there. And speaking of being competitive, the amount of season tickets they've sold, I think it's set records in League One already. Super exciting stuff there up in the Northwest.
Yeah, we already said it once, but we'll say it again. I look forward to seeing what that crowd looks like next weekend.
The place will be packed.
Corner kick for Spokane. Heel serves it in, a little bit low. Hear the drumming of the supporters for this Greenville Triumph side, the Reedy River Riot. Smith couldn't get by Pollock. But Spokane have the ball back quickly. Heel glances off his hand. Luis Heel highlighted him in the open. He's a string puller. This is Chapa Herrera, who just distributed the ball. Another guy from the USL Championship who making his way to Greenville. Scarlett makes an excellent move, and it's cleared away. No, it's not. It finds its way into the goal. Zion Scarlett levels the score. Inventiveness from the youngster.
I'm not sure if he's going to get credit for the goal. I think the defender from the Velocity tried to clear it off the line and put it in his own goal. We'll take another look perhaps on the replay, but this guy Zion Scarlett didn't get to play much at all for Columbus Crew 2. Still a header into the box by, that was all effort, and the spin on it. Yeah, that's definitely going to go down as an own goal. The spin on the ball, put it towards the goal, and catch a number. The Velocity player who tried to clear it out, but should have done a little better.
Yeah, that's a clearance. I mean, I anticipated it.
Is it Longmire? Yeah, I think it might have been Ahmed Longmire. Either way, found his way into the back of the net and 1-1 mark. 2 early goals here.
A wild sequence there, and we are level at 1 apiece.
It's one of those ones from Scarlett. He probably just thought, hey, I'll just try and get a foot on this.
Why not?
And ended up with the spin on it and spun right back towards the goal and tied things up.
I don't know, Ross. I think because the ball was on its way to going through the goal, that it still counts as a goal for Scarlett.
You might be right. We'll see what the bigwigs at the stat company come up with. We'll let you know as soon as they make a decision, which they haven't yet.
Zion Scarlett, just 19 years old.
Yeah, listen, you and I were talking about who they were going to replace Alan Gavilanes with on the wing. Ben Zakowski, the rookie. Rick Wright was talking about him in glowing terms. Guy who played at Monmouth University, coached there by John Harkes' old high school soccer teammate, McCourt. Zion got the call tonight. Proved Rick Wright to be right so far. He's been active in these first 19 minutes. They have given the goal to Zane Scarlett. Zion Scarlett. I knew that was going to happen, Mark. Zane Scarlett is another soccer player that plays for Tottenham with a Z. Zion Scarlett. Just got to keep the national park in my head, right?
Exactly. I'm sure Zion Scarlett doesn't mind the comparison, though. So 20 minutes into this game nearly. A penalty and a wacky goal for Greenville means that we're tied up once again. Velasquez, a couple of juggling moves. He's swarmed by players, but somehow his feet are still on the ball.
Good work there by Velasquez.
That's just a demonstration of the quality that he's got with the ball at his feet. When talking to Rick Wright about his midfielders, and of course Velasquez falls into this umbrella, he said they're just footballers. They just play football.
With him moving out to the wide side of things, it really puts a lot of pressure on Zion Scarlett, because we all thought he was going to be more of an actual winger, but he was mentioned as an attacking midfielder / forward and everything we read about him. Ended up being the first Greenville goal scorer of the season.
Pierre Reedy will be the one to throw this in
front of the Reedy River Riot.
I was waiting for that one. Lofts it in. And it's headed straight down. Fernandez couldn't get a clean hit on that one. Would have been hard to get through the thicket of Greenville Triumph players anyway. Castro puts this one back into play.
Possession exactly 50% apiece at the moment.
Careless giveaway. Dolling plays this one forward for Smith. It's two Smiths on it right now, Jamie Smith and Kamarni Smith.
Smith on Smith violence in the end as Kamarni shoves over Jamie. Jamie Smith tends to find himself in the wars, whether it's on the ground or as the end of other opposition players' elbows. As we saw last season, scored some huge goals last year for Greenville from the back line though.
So it'll be a free kick. Select the official match ball supplier of the USL and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice. Talking on Jamie Smith, I don't think he's other teams' favorite player.
Certainly one of those guys you love to have but hate to play against. Zion Scarlett, got to mention his first professional goal. Did score for Jamaica U20s. Did not find the back of the net for Columbus too. Former Union Academy guy.
Now you mentioned Jamaica. He competed for them in the CONCACAF U20 Championship.
So that Philadelphia Union Academy has produced a ton of talent. Liam McKinnon, can't forget that man, 4 goals last season. Kind of petered off a little bit towards the end of the year. Seen him pop up on both the left and the right at times. Start.
Being infused onto this Greenville side this year. The aforementioned Zion Scarlett, Liam McKinnon. A lot of players on this bench who come straight from college. Preparing for the Spokane game, Rick Wright mentioned that they're excited to welcome Spokane to the league, but we won't approach them as a new team, he said. He mentioned that our players get it, that we want to make other teams worry about us as opposed to the flip, which I think that's pretty much every team's goal. He said, let's stick to the fundamentals, and it starts with defending. As we talked about earlier, he said you need to have 11 players who are good defenders on the field at all times in the modern game. Castro traversing along that sideline.
Yeah. Rick Wright mentioned he wanted to get younger, a little more athletic in the middle. Hurt them at times last year against the more athletic and quicker sides especially. Talked about the additions, but some of the losses as well in the midfield. Aaron Walker, Noah Pallado, Lucas Coutinho, Devin Boyce. I know he wasn't around for long, but had an impact in your midfield. Attacking wise, I'll say Evan Lee right here on the ball. back from last year as well. McKinnon on the wing. A ton of potential on this bench as well tonight, Mark. I mentioned no Mohamed Say, no Carlos Anguiano, just minor injuries carried into the opener. Like Bright said, Mohamed Say was carrying his over from his college season. He's a big physical presence, 6'4" up front. I'm sure he'll provide a little rest for Leo Castro as the season goes on.
Yeah, they made the whole run in the College Cup, including beating my West Virginia Mountaineers in the semifinal.
I'm sorry, listen, Clemson's produced a ton of talent. We've seen it around League One. That's a nasty little bit of contact there. Chapa Herrera. I'm glad we don't have VAR in this league at this moment. It's Corey Fernandez down, face down.
Looks like they're going to check for some head contact here. Let's take a look at this.
Yeah, accidental. Herrera just extending the arm. Fernandez got a little unlucky. I don't think there's any malice in it. Brandon Fricke's checking he's got all his teeth.
You notice Brandon Fricke removing the 1 from his jersey this year, just number 5. And also now wearing the captain's armband for the Greenville Triumph.
And we've seen in the past Aaron Walker as well as Tyler Polak sharing captain duties. Oh, it's a harsh yellow, I think. I don't think there was much venom in that contact, which is part of his balance for Chapa Herrera. But first yellow card of the season for the Triumph. Goes to the defensive midfielder. Have to be careful now the rest of the way.
Chapa Herrera coming over from El Paso Locomotive. Both him and Evan Lee sort of operating as holding midfielders, and as a matter of fact, we may see Evan Lee do more of the traversing forward.
Chapa Herrera's got a great story. He was initially just spotted at a local soccer tournament, amateur tournament, by then El Paso coach Mark Lowry. Invited him to a private tryout, and the rest is history. Over 100 appearances for the Locomotive. Harry said that time when he found him in that tournament, he ran 5,000 miles, didn't give the ball away once at this amateur tournament they found him at. And listen, you never know who's watching you in these tournaments. My daughter plays travel softball. I always tell her, hey, you never know every game who's watching you. I might say, hey, come join my team. That's a case right there. He's turned it into a fruitful professional career.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the phone call to Ross Davenport that he's stepping up to be a goalkeeper in USL League One.
My goalkeeping days are long done.
Derek Waldeck, guy who played for the Greenville Triumph for half a season.
He was a big pickup. I remember he came in at a time when they were dealing with some injury trouble. Tyler Polak, and he filled in beautifully. Came over from MLS Next Pro.
Here's Zion Scarlett once again. Ref says play on, contact with the ball.
No complaints from the Greenville players, including Scarlett.
Waldeck's in the corner. Met by Lee. Now Dulling, the goal scorer for Spokane. First ever goal scorer in Velocity history.
It was a nice first touch from Dulling, but there was nobody in support. The Missouri State guys. Talked to Coach Lee Veerman about Missouri State. Obviously Greenville have their own Missouri State guy, and Pascal Corvino is on the bench tonight. It's just one of those programs that does everything right. They've got a ton of talent, including some that are still there. Certainly a program to keep an eye on if you follow college soccer, even League One soccer. Get to see some future League One players there.
They've got Jack Denton, Javier Martin Heel. You mentioned Pascal Corvino. And also Josh Dulling.
Yeah, Javier Martin Hill getting the start tonight. We mentioned it briefly earlier over Romain Metenier, the veteran. He's Madagascar, right? Originally from France. 161 appearances from Metz in France, mostly in League Two, but surprised not to see him tonight in the starting lineup. Veerman didn't mention any potential injuries, said they were healthy coming into this one.
Mentioned he was the assistant at Charleston last season. He also assisted at OKC Energy a couple years back and got the interim head coach job mid-season, and it was a rough year for OKC Energy that season, and he turned the ship around.
So that's a good thing to put on the resume, right?
Yeah, look what I did.
Obviously a club that is not currently in existence.
From Liverpool, but he's been all over the United States since making his way over here.
We had a funny discussion about horchata. I said, how do you know what horchata is? He said, I've been around. Yeah, his accent is still so strong, considering how long he's been here.
eFootball 2024 is here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball is free to play. Download now.
That's the only football I'm playing goalkeeper in, Mark. eFootball.
Waldeck plays it up to Reedy.
Reedy played his college soccer at Penn State alongside Aaron Malloy, Noah Pilado, Brandon Heckenberg, Connor Maloney. Pretty serious squad there at Penn State they had back in the day. There's a ton of consistent professionals there.
Schultz tosses it in, headed forward by Lee. Talk to Rick Wright a little bit about how much League One has grown in just 5 years of existence. He said the evolution has been insane. He said especially from the other teams as Polak drives it forward. Takes it to the left. McKinnon knifing it inside. And that's where that possession spell ends for Greenville. And now Reedy taking it down the other end.
Good work back by Schultz. Schultz was a late signing a couple of seasons ago when he came into Greenville, but he's really made that right back spot his own. Greenville brought guys in to try and push him, but Schultz continues to steady minutes and steady quality soccer in there at that right back spot. Can get forward at times too, perhaps not as much as two on the Spokane side of things tonight. It's a nice little ball.
Reedy driving it forward, has some numbers, tries to shoot. Didn't get very far. Lee with the through ball, trying to connect with Ryan McKinnon, who was making the run. Now Kamarni Smith, who will distribute it to Jack Denton. We talked a little bit about how Greenville looking to get a little younger, trying to keep up with where the league is going now. Rick Wright said we had to make some decisions to help us evolve with the rest of the league. Brought in Mark Ward as an assistant, who's been brilliant according to Rick Wright. Felt that in years past that this Greenville Triumph team, just given the success they've had since its start, always gets the best out of opponents. Like teams step up for the opportunity to play the Triumph. In a league that's been growing and improving at such a quick pace, it's a challenge to keep up with it, and you can't get complacent with anything. But it's a hard balance, of course, because you also want consistency and you want carryover year to year. So I mean that's the challenge of every coach in this league. Schultz.
Yeah, the success they had didn't necessitate changes, right? And you mentioned 5th place being their worst finish in team history. Which the coaching yeah, it's hard, right? That's ridiculous to say. Obviously not bad at all. Made the playoffs every year. It did seem at times last year that it was going to be the end of an era. Nobody knew John Harkes was leaving, but that 5-year mark. You see some of the veteran players. I was surprised at the amount of veterans they managed to keep a hold of. Right? I thought there would be tormentous style changes coming into this season, but Rick Wright did a good job keeping guys around. He talked to guys individually and say, do you want to be a part of what I'm doing? And a lot of them stuck around. That's a testament to him and John Harkes and the work they've done over the last 5 years.
Meanwhile, as far as building a program from the ground up as opposed to revamping one is what Lee Wiedemann has been tasked with once he took the position in Spokane. In the preseason, he talked about how when it came to players, he wanted players with high character and high performance. As Castro wins the ball back for the triumph. To continue that thought, he said in the preseason, the high character aspect has been checked off. The guys are here. He sees the commitment from each of them. And he mentioned the performance side of it is getting there. Polak drives it in. Velasquez picks this one up, and Greenville will recycle.
I do love the coaches that talk about bringing character guys in, right? I get it. That's what you want to say, right? But in the end, if you have an idiot that's going to score 30 goals, you're probably going to side him. But I get it.
Especially when you're building a program from the ground up. Reedy tries to shoot, bounces out to Smith. His shot deflects.
I believe he even said he wanted a team of guys like him. Basically, I think as a coach, that's what you want, right? If you know you're a successful soccer player.
Castro
Oh,
cuts
nice
in,
fake.
tries to shoot, deflected. Winding up and shooting now is well off target. That was Zion Scarlett once again, trying to make it a brace in his debut. Maybe too much time to think about it there.
He did. Greenville had tons of numbers coming forward. Spokane were caught a little bit too far up the pitch. This was lovely work here by Castro. He picked it up at the halfway line. Watch this little shot fake here if we get to see it. Completely fooled Marcelo Lage. It was a good block in the end by Longmire. Finish. Thankfully for Carlos Morancio, who was, I think, already sprawled on the ground from the previous shot, over the bar. Got an early goal in Tormenta, Mark. Central Valley Fuego, undefeated in season openers, have a 1-0 lead.
Brand new head coach Jermaine Jones, former U.S. men's national team player. With John Harkes leaving, we needed someone to fill in that void in USL League One.
Penalty in that game. I seem to remember that matchup has had penalties in the last couple of meetings. Espinoza with the goal. Familiar name to League One fans.
It's an electric player, Mo Espinoza.
Oh, I wanted the high foot, didn't get it. A very even first half, Mark. Both teams have looked pretty crisp, but all things considered, the first game of the season.
Both have had a well of chances, and I mean, they've been able to convert on one of them each.
They haven't looked particularly disjointed at all.
Friday was day 27 of trading for Spokane, which obviously is not a lot of time. We talked about how truncated the preseason is now for Spokane and for teams in League One in general.
Especially for Spokane, when you're building a roster from nobody, right? You don't.
Yeah.
You're signing 18 guys rather than a team perhaps signing single-digit numbers of guys. Good claim there by Garner. He's looked pretty confident, Christian Garner. Only made a handful of starts for Pittsburgh last season. Stuck behind Jamali Waite there. Boston College, Northwestern.
Talked briefly about it earlier. His bout with Gunther Rankenberg to win that starting spot. Zion Scarlett once again throwing in some pressure there. It's been a battle though between those two, the goalies for Greenville. Rick Wright mentioned that the new goalkeeper coach, Choco Villegas, has been super methodical with his process, as this one falls to McKinnon. McKinnon takes the shot, and it glides over the crossbar.
McKinnon's been getting a little more involved in this game as the first half's gone on. Obviously gave away the penalty earlier, trying to redeem himself here. It was a lovely ball through. Good coverage over in the end by Javier Martin Gil, just to get in the way enough. Delay McKinnon's shot, allowed the defense to get back a little bit. Both coaches will be relatively happy at the break.
The communication there, two players right in the same spot for Spokane. Didn't seem to stop anything on their momentum though. Smith.
He was onside, much to the process of Reed River Riot.
Javier Martinho plays it in, and it was right at the feet, just a tad underneath that of Jack Denton.
Plenty of bodies in the box there. It was a good ball in, just perhaps a little too much pace on it. Denton couldn't control it.
Ball falls out of play. Greenville will recollect it. Well, Ross, when I first heard about the fact that Spokane was getting a club in USL League One, one of the first things I thought about was, wow, that's really far away from the rest of the clubs in the USL. And I asked Levy a bit about it and about how he's been preparing, the team's been preparing for all the travel they're going to be doing this season. I mean, let's take this game. I mean, that's several time zones they're hopping just to come play the Greenville Triumph, and they're going to have to do that week after week this season when they come over to the East Coast clump that we've got in USL League One. And he said, look, we've got a lot of experience on this roster, both at the MLS and the USL level, who are familiar with that level of travel. And he mentioned the young guys will learn over time, and that's just how it is. But with that being said, the resources that the ownership group have provided, and they're planning to not traveling the day before, but the day prior to that, so they have a whole day to acclimate. We'll see if they can keep that up when schedules get a little bit more congested, which sometimes happens as this ball squared across and out of play for a goal kick.
Listen, hotel rooms aren't cheap.
Yeah.
Right, but getting there that extra day early, especially to get adjusted to the time change, it's not so bad. I don't think coming west to east, it's a little more difficult going east to west. I think you're playing games at 7 p.m., 10 p.m., you know, your local time, the body clock almost ready for bed at that time, rather than these Spokane guys. And right now at about 4:47 local body time, we'll say. But yeah, no, I like that. Look, if you can afford to spend it on the hotel rooms, listen, different teams in this league we know have different budgets. Yeah, it should help out for sure. Especially if you're allowed to, obviously some clubs allow access to practice on the pitch, especially when you have turf fields like this. I'm not sure if Greenville did. Hopefully they were nice enough to. And Furman, obviously.
I'd say it's not just in Greenville's control, of course.
They've had a good relationship with Furman. It's in the second season here at Paladin Stadium. You see the news on a potential new stadium has been pretty quiet of late. Hopefully we'll hear some more as the season goes on with the Triumph. I know the ownership group is continually working on things. Listen, the more and more teams that get their own stadium in the league perhaps say, look, hey, the local politicians that have to make those kind of decisions to allow such things to be built, say, hey, look what it's done to the city of Spokane or the other, or Tormentor, etc. Something you can show them. This is how they did it. Why can't we do it this way, right? So hopefully we'll see some progress in that department as the season goes on.
I mean, it's another place that you can hold events too within the community, which is something that most of these USL League One specific stadiums,
you got to find an extra revenue wherever you can, right? Host high school football games, especially if you have a turf field and other full field events, other sports like that, lacrosse, etc.
Take one Spokane Stadium, for example, that they're going to be hosting events like that, and they can even expand their seating to double to make it 10,000.
We've seen Charlotte now with a Major League Rugby team. They're playing at the home of the Independents. It lands up. Chapo Herrera getting a little frustrated. It's been a pretty clean first half. Just the one yellow card, obviously, with the lashing out from Herrera, which I thought was a little harsh. And the man that was involved in that is right there, Colin Fernandez.
Closing in on the end of the first half of action. When we go to the break, we'll do a little catch up on where some missing players have gone in USL League One, some of the big names from years prior who have made that jump up to USL Championship. So you're not going to want to mute your TV or stay away for too long.
I don't blame you if you want to turn over to the Tormentor Fuego game either. So Jermaine Jones, as you mentioned, Mark, first game there with an almost entirely new roster. I was laughing when he said he would have got rid of everybody if they hadn't had a couple of guys under contract. Not sure how true that was. Jose Carrera Garcia is a pretty serious talent. No goals in Lexington. Noco, which is a little surprising, Mark. Only one shot on target between the two of them so far, approaching halftime there at Toyota Stadium.
Velasquez getting pulled and tugged, and the whistle's finally. So there's the yellow issued to Marcelo Lage, who gets the first booking in Velocity history. I'll stop that little gimmick now, but.
A trivia question somewhere at a local bar down the road. This is where Sebastian Velasquez, I think, can be a big influence for the Triumph, is on set pieces. They were a lot better last year on set pieces than they had been in previous years. Haven't really had that one guy that can really be special from set pieces. Maybe Sebastian Velasquez could be that guy.
This yellow card brought to you by GSP Airport. As you can see there, 3 minutes of stoppage time. Velasquez waiting to provide service. Perhaps a chance to take the lead before the halftime break. Nodded away. Lyle McKinnon hits with a ton of power.
We've seen Lyle McKinnon score bangers. Derek Bordet took that one like a champ. I think he's meaning to work backwards like he was just there. I don't think that was the result of that hit to the, I think it was his head. Referee didn't stop play though.
Took it like a champ, like he said. Polak wins another throw in.
I think a fair score at the half mark. Both teams have had their opportunities. Neither keeper has had to do a whole ton to keep the scoreline as it is. This might be another card. Well, if it isn't, that's an interesting decision, because he certainly stopped a fast break. He's going to go to the pocket. That's Mr. Fateh.
Couple late bookings in this one before the halftime rolls through. Sebastian Velasquez, it's him and Chapa Herrera, two USL Championship additions and new starters in the midfield for the Triumph. Which means all the three new players, or excuse me, 3 of the 4 new players in the lineup for the Greenville Triumph now have gotten themselves onto the score sheet in one way or another. Start with the goal, Velasquez and Herrera.
There you go.
With a card apiece.
Just looking at the Miami FC score in the USL Championship. So they picked up some League One guys. We'll talk about that at the half mark. They're at 1-0 with a goal from former Greenville man Andrew Booth. Alan Gavalanis with the start there tonight for Miami FC, as well as Dalton Knutson, Nico Cardona.
A lot of names, you're right.
Miami FC know what they're doing here. Seeing other teams thrive picking up USL League One talent. Off to a good start tonight down in South Florida.
We had a set piece on one end of the field for Greenville right before the half concludes, and now Spokane will get a corner kick as we approach the 48-minute mark. Luis Heel from the left corner flag. Floats this one in. And Greenville able to do away with this one. See if Spokane can force one in real quick. That won't be the case. The halftime whistle from Nick Rodfate sounds off. And both teams will go to the dressing room and figure out what they can do to notch in another goal in the second 45 and come away with 3 points in this week 1 matchup between Spokane and Greenville. Josh Doling scoring the first goal in Velocity history. Meanwhile, Zion Scarlett scoring his first goal in professional career history. It was a fun one for 45 minutes. We'll be looking forward to getting this one going at the other end of the break, but don't go away. We got some good halftime content coming your way up next on ESPN+. Your scoreline after 45, 1s apiece.
At Piedmont Natural Gas, being a part of the communities we serve is important to us, because to us, community begins with you. We strive to address the needs of our communities by investing time and resources to help improve the quality of life for our customers. For over 60 years, we have funded programs that support education, the environment, and community impact. Our Energy Assistance Program, Share the Warmth, helps customers pay their energy bills. We're committed to helping our neighbors by powering the vitality of our communities.
The lottery isn't about jackpot winners. It's about investing in our students. Even when it began in 2002, it was lottery proceeds that helped fund new technology initiatives in schools across South Carolina. And when students booted up those screens for the first time, they discovered a lifelong love of learning that shaped them into the professionals and people they are today. When you play the lottery, the real winners are always our students. After all, education is our middle name.
Welcome to Wood Creek Dental, where dental care is a family tradition. For over 40 years, we're proud to be a family-owned practice serving the community of Greenville, South Carolina. Our experienced dentists and dedicated staff are committed to your oral health. Experience the difference for yourself. Wood Creek Dental. Dental care from our family to yours.
South Carolina's economy is growing, bringing new businesses and opportunities. The need for electricity is growing too. At Duke Energy, we're meeting the challenge, providing even more electricity that's reliable, that stays affordable. To do this, we're investing in our communities with a diverse, balanced mix of energy sources and making targeted upgrades to the grid so that South Carolina can thrive in a smarter energy future.
Halftime here between Spokane and Greenville. We've talked a lot about the players on these squads. Now let's talk about the guys from USL League One who've made the jump to championship. To give you that info, here's Jack Edwards.
Starting things off with JP Skiers after 4 seasons with Union Omaha, 17 goals, 8 assists, a constant set-piece threat. He'll be moving on to Phoenix Rising in the USL Championship. His teammate from the last 2 seasons, Noe Meza, also making the leap after a fantastic 2023. He had a handful of goals as they were the Players' Shield winners. A pair of those guys moving on, as well as the league's leading scorer all-time in a single season, Trevor Ammon, with 23 goals last year, was the best player in the league as the USL League One Player of the Year. He's headed now to Sacramento Republic. His teammate, fantastic contributor, was Arthur Rogers. He'll be headed to Tulsa after being back-to-back USL League One Defensive Player of the Year and leading the league in assists with 11 of them last season. They were a great combo last year. They'll be playing against each other in the championship next year. And Keziah Sterling, 2 fantastic years, the League One Finals MVP, scored a ton of goals in the run for the 2022 title, 31 goals across 2 years. He's now in Pittsburgh with the Riverhounds. One of his teammates as well is Mukwele Akale, double-digit goals and assists across his 45 appearances. He's headed now to New Mexico, where he'll be playing with New Mexico United in 2024. And Akira Fitzgerald, 5 seasons, 3 times he was nominated for USL League One Goalkeeper of the Year in 2019, 2021, and 2022, winning the honor in 2021. Headed to North Carolina FC as they move from League One to the championship. And Brooks Thompson, his team was moving up as well, and he'll be staying in the championship, going now to Hartford Athletic after a big contribution down the back end of the season with 17 appearances, 4 clean sheets, and a vital penalty save in the title game. 3 further Omaha players as they have a league-leading 5 players moving to the next level. Pairs for Charlotte and Greenville as well, while Dalton Knutson and Nico Cardona will be joining Alan Gavilanes in Miami. We're going to take another break here on ESPN+. We got news and notes when we return.
That was the voice of the smooth Jack Edwards, and now for the booming voice of one Mike Watts to introduce a new element to this USL League One season. Let's take it to him.
They're hungry for the women's game. They want to see women's soccer. They want to play women's soccer, and that's what we're building at the USL. You can see it in my eyes. Only want the best. Got me looking to the sky. Got me feeling blessed. Got this fire burning up inside of my chest. Burning up inside of my chest. Got this fire burning up inside of my chest.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Pain doesn't care who you are or why you hurt, but pain can be mastered if you know the way. Fight back with Tiger Balm's legendary herbal power. Trusted for over 100 years, our proven blend of camphor, menthol, and essential oils tames pain with the strength and speed of the tiger, so that you can rise above pain and get back to living. This is the way of the tiger.
You've given us a foundation to be proud of. We build on this now. This is it now, gents. This is us from now on.
There's a new airline in town. Breeze Airways has arrived at GSP International Airport with nonstop flights to 5 cities nationwide. Enjoy low fares, no change or cancellation fees, and convenient nonstop service. Make your next trip seriously nice on Breeze Airways. Visit flybreeze.com to book your flight from GSP today.
In 2024, USL League One will introduce a new in-season cup competition built on regional rivalries and added dimensions to the game itself. Like cups around the world, this new tournament will consist of group play and a knockout round. The 3 groups of 4 will consist of the East Group, Charlotte, Greenville, Richmond, and Tormenta. The Central Group, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Lexington, and Madison. The West Group, Central Valley, Northern Colorado, Omaha, and Spokane. The clubs will play a home and away round robin within their group. Then they will play 2 matches, 1 home and 1 away, against 2 different teams from another group. In total, each club will play 8 matches in group action. The top team in each group will advance to the semifinals, joined by the non-group leader with the most goals scored. This innovation will encourage more attacking and entertaining play. That's not the only fun adjustment. If a group stage game finishes tied at the end of regulation time, a penalty kick shootout will take place with an extra point in the standings on the line. The cup will evolve and grow over the next few years, bringing more drama and more memories for all.
Well, Ross, I'm looking forward to seeing the hijinks that come with some of those games, like subbing in 3 forwards at the end of the game just to try and get some goals through when your chances of not winning the group are concluded. Will be a lot of fun. But here's the rest of the news and notes across the USL. Some new clubs in the championship and in League One, of course, Spokane Velocity in our match here. Meanwhile, the Super League getting D1. That is amazing news. And of course, then we've also got some amazing news on the broadcasting side of things, and we're always partial to hearing about that. CBS has joined the party. You'll be able to see things on the Golazo Network, on ESPN2, on the CBS Sports Network, on Paramount Plus and CBS, so be sure that you figure out what service your game is going to be on so you don't miss out on any League One game this season. Meanwhile, here are the power rankings brought to you by Hopkins Eye Center. So a couple of experts in the USL landscape and some podcasts were asked where they think these teams are going to land. It's always so hard to predict these things before the year, so I'm glad they didn't ask us because it's so hard to predict where these teams are going to land.
You and I provide enough bulletin board material during the season where we don't need to be getting involved in power rankings, but I don't think they were particularly far off, most of them here. I think some may feel a little aggrieved, perhaps some Tormenta fans out there, but listen, there's so many unknowns, right, going into League One, Week 1.
And the unknowns getting answered here in the first weekend of action. You see scoreless between Lexington and Northern Colorado, which we thought was the game most likely to have goals. Meanwhile, the Jermaine Jones era off to a 2-0 start against Tormenta on the road. How about that?
Fuego undefeated in their first 2 season openers and looking to make it 3. 2 goals there. Espinoza and Apollon for Jermaine Jones. Great start for him.
And you can see upcoming slate on ESPN Plus. So if you're watching here, you'll be able to watch there, and you'll be able to watch the second half of this matchup between Greenville and Spokane. On the other end of this break, we got the highlights from the first half, the stats, and then the second 45. We'll see you there.
It starts with only one tap to have total home control with Priority One Security. You can view your cameras and video doorbells, integrate our smart locks, lights, thermostats, and control your garage doors. Customize your smart devices to fit your schedule with our automated controls for a smart, effective, and secure way to protect your home. Experience total control and complete security from the convenience of our one app, one tap smart security and home automation on demand. Call Priority One Security and tap that app. Official partner of the Greenville Triumph.
At Piedmont Natural Gas, being a part of the communities we serve is important to us because to us, community begins with you. We strive to address the needs of our communities by investing time and resources to help improve the quality of life for our customers. For over 60 years, we have funded programs that support education, the environment, and community impact. Our Energy Assistance Program, Share the Warmth, helps customers pay their energy bills. We're committed to helping our neighbors by powering the vitality of our communities.
Every lottery ticket purchase keeps education in our state moving forward. Like in 2005, when lottery proceeds helped purchase new school buses that kept South Carolina students on the road to success. Because arriving safely to school every day is the first important step on their journeys to the careers and lives they've always dreamed of. When you play the lottery, you're helping fund the futures of students all over our state, which is why education is our middle name.
This USL League One broadcast is brought to you by ScanSource, official partner of the Greenville Triumph. Let's get you your halftime highlights here between Greenville Triumph and the Spokane Velocity, starting off with the penalty committed by Liam McKinnon.
Yeah, just a clumsy sort of hack there. McKinnon not known for his defensive prowess, especially inside the box. And Josh Darling deposits this one with aplomb. Almost actually might have clipped the inside of Garner's post there on the replay.
Just a little glance, a kiss off the left post, and the opening goal in Spokane Velocity history. Then on the other end, sort of an invented attempt here from Scarlett, and then maybe a clearance that left something to be desired there from Longmire, and you're tied up 1-1.
Right. Marcelo Lage was just a little casual. Morancio was completely caught in no man's land. And Scarlett got enough on it and a spin on it and ended up in the back of the net for his first professional goal. Look at your halftime stats. 9 shots for the Velocity, but only 2 of them on target. Christian Garner didn't have a whole lot of things to do. Neither did Carlos Morancio in the end. Yeah, looking forward to a potentially exciting second half here. See if any changes at the break.
These halftime stats brought to you by Coca-Cola as the two teams switch ends and look to see if they can make the difference here in the second 45. Will it be someone like Zion Scarlett for Greenville? Or will it be one of those white jerseys in the huddle over there that could get 3 points in this one on match day 1?
Don't see any immediate changes for the Triumph, just looking at a quick glance. See potentially for the Velocity either. I'll let you know.
None reported up to this point.
Obviously, 90-minute fitness could potentially be an issue for some folks tonight in preseason. I assume most players don't go 90 minutes in many games, unless they're really trying to get their fitness up. Especially with teams making as many changes, obviously not changes, but looking to fill in that 18. See as many players as you possibly can in the preseason. Trialists, etc. I think Trialist had a great preseason, Mark, whoever he is. Up and up everywhere.
Always got to get that one in before week 2, or else then it's too
Soccer
late.
dad jokes for days.
And we're back and underway here at Paladin Stadium. The first ever matchup for Spokane Velocity. Far from it for the Greenville Triumph. Once again, welcome you in, and I guess I need to echo some sentiments from the beginning of the game.
Some ball boys in early season form. We've got 2 balls on the pitch right now.
Uh-oh. Where else could you get that, though? Best league in the world, Ross. You're watching it right here, USL League One. Not a league with more parity than this chock full of chaos league has in store year by year.
Sure, Leo Castro was doing there. That ball looked like it was heading right to Scarlett. Castro took it off his toes.
Here's Reedy making a tear down the field. Heel. Out to Dulling. Dulling scores it back across, and it's headed on frame, pawed away by Garner. Christian Garner with his first real save as the Greenville keeper.
Quality one it was. Had to be quick to get that hand up there. Lovely cross by Darling. Christian Garner continuing the tradition of Greenville Triumph quality shot stoppers. It was his first one. I'd say in a green shirt, but he's not wearing green.
It's a transitional league, Lee Wiedman was telling us. And that was a moment of it as Lion McKinnon shoots this off the left post.
Lion McKinnon. That was an absolute laser. Mauricio was beaten off the post. That's what he can do. Fast start here to the second half, both ends.
Time to play catch up.
Lovely first time cross from Darling. Smith at the far post, got a good head on it. Mauricio might not have seen that with Lage in the way. Castro not quick enough to get to the rebound before Waldeck did. Lion McKinnon. He's one of those guys that just sort of vanishes at times, but then pops up with things like that.
Now Scarlett squares it across, and Castro, it's saved, followed through is through!
Evan Lee.
Evan Lee scoring for the Triumph and giving the home side the lead.
Listen, John Harkes used to tell us what Evan Lee can do when he gets into the final third. What a finish that was for a center back turned defensive midfield. I thought Castro was going to finish it. It was a good save by Mauricio. Didn't have to do much, but he was in the right place. And Evan Lee, it's a quality finish if there ever is one, no matter what position you're playing. Flicked by Scarlett. It was actually Lee that played the ball through initially. I think they were looking for some potential offsides from Castro on the ball in, but flag stayed down. And Evan Lee, his first goal of the season.
The one-timer from Evan Lee. Didn't score any goals last season. He scores one in the opener of the 2024 season. His 6th year with the Greenville Tribe. He's been there since the beginning. Much like Rick Wright, excuse me. Much like Tyler Polak.
His second goal in 120 plus League One appearances.
That goal brought to you by the YMCA of Greenville.
This goal came back against the Hailstorm in a 1-1 draw back in September 2022. It was in, if you remember, on the 91st minute mark to tie that one up after Irvin Parr had given NOCO the lead in the 73rd. What a start to the second half for both sides. Great chances.
We'll see how Spokane responds, being down a goal for the first time. Evan Lee, another one of those guys who stuck around with this Greenville team despite the regime change.
To Zion Scarlett too. What a debut here for Greenville. It was his lovely little flick. He's shown a bit of class, Mark.
Castro.
Obviously earned his way into the starting lineup, and now you're seeing why.
Here's Velasquez. Brushing off some contact. Here's the goal scorer, Evan Lee. Castro taps it back to McKinnon. He pops this one up for Scarlett. Now Pierre Reedy goes running. Reedy has heel ahead of him. Pass left something to be desired.
Pierre Reedy, the most dangerous velocity player heading into the final third tonight. He's got some serious pace on him, and he's looked like a threat to score, or at least put someone in on goal every time he's streaked forward. He looked very dangerous on the transition, have the velocity. See, denied just minutes ago by that solid Garner save on the transition. These two teams have clearly come to play here in the second 45.
No messing around. Javier Martinez plays it back. Denton has to get that one away. Scarlett got a lot of energy running around. Heel plays it out to the left. Here's an opportunity for Spokane. Played centrally. Smith still has it. He shoots, blocked by Polak.
Two key touches by Tyler Polak.
This one kept in play, headed away by Smith. And now McKinnon just taps it away from danger for now. And it'll be a Spokane throw.
This game really opening up here in the first 6 minutes. Tons of space everywhere.
Denton. This one goes all the way back to the goalkeeper, Marancio.
Ooh, I thought Johnny Smith got a foot in there and put that one away before the contact, but referee Fate disagreed.
So Spokane will push it forward until that pass. McKinnon trying to feed Castro. It's the velocity once again.
Interesting to see tonight, Mark, at what point these coaches go to the bench. Advantage there played well. Played advantage and then changed his mind. Even though the velocity still had the ball. It was interesting. Going back to the substitutions, normally 50th minute you wouldn't be thinking about subs. But this early in the season, I know the legs are fresh, but they're still perhaps not 90 minutes fresh. Interesting to see who goes to the bench first. Velocity only have 18 players on the roster. They have everybody here tonight. You have to assume they'll be making some signings as the season goes on here, because one injury and you won't have a full bench.
Fernandez, the one sitting behind this dead ball.
With that said, Greenville are only 18 tonight because of the 2 injuries. They have 18 at their disposal for now too. Obviously a little more depth on the bench.
Pops this one in, and it's off target, and it'll be a goal kick for the Triumph. USL League One is on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches and expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golasso Network and ESPN+. Go to USLLeague1.com for the complete USL TV listings. So exciting to see the USL in general get on the big boy channels more and more often, Ross.
Oh, Greenville have a game on Golazo, I know, coming up later this month against Lexington. That'll be a big one. Going back to the subs. Velocity do have some talent. Grayson DuPont, from what everything I heard in preseason, was impressing. A guy that loves to take players on. Obviously, also got Romain Metanier. I'm not sure what fitness his state is in. What state of fitness he is in, I should say. Morgan Hackworth, another guy with a good chunk of USL Championship appearances on the bench as well. Perhaps I'll take back what I said, Mark. Velocity may have actually more depth on the bench. Greenville, Daniel Wu, returning from last year, but Ben Zagowski, the rookie. Oliver Howell, another rookie out of SMU. Pascal Corvino, another rookie on the bench. Hassan Gabo, defensive experience for Greenville. As well as Hayden Anderson. A ton of attacking options on the bench for Greenville. Obviously up 2-1. It's perhaps not where you're first looking as Rick Wright. We'll see what happens here in the next 10-15 minutes, see if either team decides to go to the bench a little early.
You're seeing the inner cogs of Ross Davenport's mind churning away here.
It's the Red Bull. Sorry, the energy drink, I should say.
Denton.
Plus the first 5 minutes of this half woke me up, Mark, in a hurry.
Things starting to settle a little bit here.
There's still tons of space here. More than there was in the first half. Ball just behind Dolly.
Smith with a touch. It's Smith. Can't get the shot away, but the follow-through hits side netting. An opportunity for Javier Martin Heel to get his first professional goal.
We've even talked about how he loves to get forward. Heel. Loves to get up the wing, cross the ball in when he was in college.
A lot of blocked efforts from this Greenville back line.
Very, very respectable youth career in Spain, Javier Martin Gil. He starts with Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Rayo Vallecano as a youth. Evan Lee with the go-ahead goal.
Leaving it for Velasquez, and then a loose touch there from Nate Schultz. Gives the ball back to Spokane. I asked Coach Lee Wiedemann about the opportunity to build something from the ground up. And he said it's an opportunity you don't get that often. You have to take advantage of it and do it right. Service comes in. Kamarni Smith got some contact on it, may have glanced off Tyler Pollock as well, and Garner, easy pickings there for him. A chance to build a program from square one does not come around often. Lee even mentioned in the process you have to stay true to what you believe. And he said his team and his program, they're building to win championships. He was raving about some of the fantastic resources in place to have this thing continue to grow from here going forward. You can tell from talking to him that he's in for the long haul here with this Spokane team.
He's got a lot to do on the learning side of things, right, as he goes, but he mentioned the support he's getting from ownership. He didn't have to say that to us, right, Mark? If he did think he was getting good support, you just probably wouldn't have mentioned it, but he certainly mentioned it, and we've seen so many good ownership groups in this league. Greenville, one of them, put the time and the effort in.
I mean, it's so important for everybody to be on the same wavelength, organizationally.
And it all starts at the top. It doesn't matter what organization you're talking about. If you're on the same page at the top, it's going to trickle down. Maybe even seems like a solid hire. These teams come out tonight. Certainly battled toe-to-toe. One of USL League One's best teams overall in the history of the league. Obviously a different squad this year. Certainly the most turnover they've ever had. Something got guys like Tyler Pollock, Brandon Fricky going to have to get used to this season, playing with new guys, especially just in front of them in the midfield. That's a nice ball.
Reedy, an inventive way to bring that ball down, maybe incidentally. Here he is again. Good step by Schultz. Pierre Reedy takes a shot.
Pierre Reedy. Certainly looking like a class above tonight in that final 30s. Put Greenville defenders on skates a number of times, including there where he was looking for that far corner.
Yeah, anytime the ball's been at his feet, it's meant danger for the home side.
It's always going forward. That wasn't far away at all. It always seems to be going, you know, those players that always seem to be going forward, the momentum seems to be going forward. He's one of those guys, never looking to go backwards. Formed a nice little partnership on that left side already with Derek Waldeck.
And speaking of guys who like to get forward,
it's interesting how these coaches use these fullback these days. Sometimes the coaches, John Hawks used to have them almost pinch in, right, and have the wingers get wider. Some like to have the overlapping fullbacks. It's a turnover. A chance here.
Heel driving forward. Ball floated across, headed down and into the hands of Garner. And once again, it's Reedy flying in, but he couldn't put that to either corner and instead went straight down the gut.
This game could easily be 3-2 either way at the moment. Spokane starting to throw some more bodies forward. Impressive on transition. Teasing cross. Should have done better.
I think it's very intentional to bring in guys who are capable of operating in transition. Leave Eatman aware that this is a league that goes up and down the field very often. McKinnon with a feed inside, and Castro leaving me speechless.
Nothing you can say about that one. A veteran striker with a veteran finish. Looked like it was too far behind him. That's the kind of thing that Leo Castro can do. We heard some votes for him getting a golden boot this year. Finishes like that. McKinnon here taking on Heel. He did a good job of sticking with him. He had to pull it back, and that's just nasty.
Inventive work from Castro. With his back to the goal, redirecting it on target. Ryan McKinnon with the service. And Greenville now up 3-1. Had 13 goals last season. Leo Castro was tied 4th in that category during the regular season. That goal brought to you by the YMCA of Greenville.
So we've seen over the years teams crying out for quality strikers. Leo Castro was brought in last year. It took him a little while to get going. As the season went on, we saw that he could score with header, he could score with goals like that.
McKinnon taking on about 4 different players there.
Just been a little more clinical tonight, Mark. Greenville so far. Spokane have had the chances, just he put him right at Garner. He made that one quality save. We've seen the difference that clinical finishing can make in this league.
It's hard to find that kind of quality at the League One level because those get poached real quick by the leagues above.
We've seen obviously Trevor Ammon making the move up this year. The likes of Evan Conway and the great strikers that have come into League One and impressed within a year or two, and off they go, as you mentioned, Mark, to the next level. Because guys that can finish are hard to find.
Just takes a sort of killer mentality that you just don't find in every person that you come by.
No, finishes like that from Leo Castro there are hard to find as well. Guys with the willingness to try something like that even. Nothing Carlos Morencio could do.
Excellent turn there from Scarlett. Herrera feeds it to McKinnon. McKinnon with the back heel, trying to keep Herrera running. Polak. Castro back over to McKinnon.
2-goal lead now. I know everybody says a 2-goal lead is dangerous, but half hour to go. It's a lot safer than a 1-goal lead, that's for sure. Also, you need to just keep at it here, keep putting the pressure on. Mentioned they've got some talent on the bench if they need to go to it. See how much longer Lee Veman waits.
3 unanswered for the Greenville Triumph after the penalty from Josh Dowling opened things up in this one. Lee. Nice pass, Castro. Searching for a brace, squares it across.
Castro's just showing off now.
Nasty business.
Just confidence. This is what confidence is. Listen, a confident striker is the most dangerous striker in the world. Doing stuff like that, just playing around with that ball, playing around with defenders.
Polak. Castro has space to work with. He gets it right back. Castro with the shot. Will float over top.
This is the kind of interchange play, Mark, I think Greenville fans have been aching for a couple of years, just looking dangerous every time they get into that final third now. Ryan McKinnon got off to the slow start tonight, but he's like a different man in the second half.
Yeah, McKinnon, Scarlett, and Castro, they've got an attitude about them offensively.
Evan Lee looks like a man possessed going forward. You wouldn't know he used to be a center back.
Maybe he was a center back, though. He did get the patented Evan Lee foray once a game.
Yes. Charge up the middle of the pitch. All right. Halftime in Tormenta, 2-0 Fuego there. The other game is about the same mark as this one. No goals between Lexington and Northern Colorado.
That one too far ahead of Derek Waldeck.
Obviously only half the league starting this weekend. Now it looks like we might have our first changes, Mark.
Nate Schultz will take his time.
There'll be a bunch of changes. Lee Veman is not messing around here.
So 3 changes here. Grayson DuPont, Ramon Metanier, and Andre Lewis all coming into the game.
Well, I like the fact that Lee Veman's not waiting around for this one. 25 minutes, he's throwing some serious talent on. As you mentioned, Mark Metanier. Lewis, he's the 7th overall pick back in 2014. He can score goals. Mentioned Grayson DuPont. And from Birmingham, Alabama, has applied his trade there at UAB as well as the Birmingham Legion. Could be an exciting player. Certainly going to test this Greenville back line for these final 25 minutes. Don't leave yourself open at the back, though.
Velasquez switches over to the right-hand side. Here's Schultz. Schultz turns, bringing it back up the right-hand side. That's Andre Lewis getting some of his first touches. Metzner playing over to the right. Challenge from Velasquez. This one's knocked out of play.
Gotta be careful. One yellow card already. Grayson DuPont not happy with that challenge. I think it's quite as bad as he's suggesting. Clumsiness in it from Velasquez. There's a space here.
Waldeck trying to thread it inside. Instead, thudded out by Greenville.
Sitting a little deeper now, inviting this pressure a little bit. I'll like got a touch on that or not. The answer is no.
Greenville throw in.
And Matt Mettner thought he did.
Metzner, as you mentioned in the first half, from Madagascar, has some experience in the MLS, along with in France with FC Metz.
He was a fan favorite in Minnesota United. All-star back in 2019. A little bit of a hamstring injury there.
Reed dishes it out. Waldeck pops it in. Doling back across the middle.
Takes the space again there. Greenville's got to be careful.
Castro, another inventive distribution. Herrera. Castro plays it for McKinnon now. Ryan McKinnon in the corner. Heavy touch. So Spokane will push forward for a second time, and we've got a wipeout, and hopefully that's not serious, non-contact. Greenville will play it out. Brandon Fricke, the one who will clear it.
Did we mention who came off for Spokane, Mark? I can't remember if we did.
No, I don't think
Javier Martin Hill off at right back, so a straight swap there for Metzner. Colin Fernandez off as well as Kamani Smith, so perhaps a change of formation, a little more attacking now. Pushing that defensive midfielder in Fernandez, replacing him with pull-out attackers in DuPont. Uh-oh, DuPont went down there. Doesn't just come on.
You really hope whenever you see something like that, you hold your breath and just pray that it's nothing serious. Grayson DuPont.
Plus the guy that relies so much on his quickness, right, with that first step. Players off the dribble like Grayson DuPont. Just having a quiet conversation with the trainer. Doesn't seem to be in any distress. Hopefully that's the case, but so he put some weight on it. Doing some tests now.
26 years old, we already mentioned, from Birmingham, Alabama. Played a lot of soccer in his hometown.
University of New Mexico, who, if I'm mistaken, don't have a men's soccer program anymore. They lost that program a few years ago.
Here are some substitutions. The first of the Rick Wright era for this Greenville Triumph team.
They're a rookie.
Pascal Corvino and Ben Sikowski coming in. As Velasquez, the hometown man, coming out of the game. And Chapa Herrera comes out for Corvino. They substitutions brought to you by Spinks. Pascal Corvino, an Italian, subbing in. Meanwhile, Zakowski from New Jersey played at Monmouth last. Meanwhile, Corvino, another one of those Bears from Missouri State.
Looks like DuPont carrying a heavy limp. It's sad to see. It's Corvino coming on now. He'll sit in the center of that midfield, trying to lock things up there. Zakowski go wide. Velasquez was playing his trade most of the evening.
Substitution for Spokane in the 72nd minute.
So DuPont comes out. Morgan Hackworth steps in for DuPont.
Leading the match, number 23, Grayson DuPont.
Well, hope Grayson's okay. Certainly concerning the way he went down, Mark. Best wishes for him.
So some moments of pause in this game that's had a lot of momentum flying back and forth. A goal off a penalty for Josh Doling opened things up in favor of Spokane, but Greenville have responded 3 times since then. First Zion Scarlett, then Evan Lee to open up the second half, and then some nasty business from Leo Castro to make it 3-1. And here's Castro again. Just splitting the defenders there, trying to keep it in play.
I think he was trying to earn a corner, knock it off one of them. He ended up splitting them, as you said, Mark. He did earn himself a corner in the end.
The Triumph will load up for a set piece. Ben Zakowski, who's only 5'8", will go over there, but Castro will stay right beside him.
Rick Wright was very high on this guy. Zakowski, we describe him as a pit bull, right? Non-stop runner, high engine. On the wing.
He also used the word a fireball.
Fireball, he did.
Schultz. A lofty cross, no one around for Greenville.
Right, the scorer at Monmouth, Zakowski, 32 goals in 77 games, including 12 as a senior. Those that follow college soccer will know those are some pretty gaudy numbers, even if it was at Monmouth.
Can't watch the match? Turn on SiriusXM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Plus hear live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more. All on SiriusXM FC 157 in the new SiriusXM app.
Step there by Brandon Fricky. This back four, other than on the transition on occasion, has looked as solid as we thought they would, Mark. The back four they had most of last season when they were healthy, which wasn't the whole season for sure. Jamie Smith missed a bunch of time, Pollock missed some time. Fricky missed some time at the beginning of last season, right, due to the surgery in the off season. When they were together, for the most part, they were as solid as they have been so far in these first 74 plus minutes.
Andre Lewis sending it over to the left, and we'll get it right back.
He has the talent in here right now to unlock things, though. See if they have the clinical finish ability. Letting them down a little bit at times tonight.
Yeah, they've had some moments, some chances. They haven't been able.
The 5 shots on target. I think the penalty does count as one of those. Garner made the one quality save. The other ones were easier than they should have been, if that makes sense, Mark. Chances that Velocity have had, but they've been there to create the chances, though, which is good. They've created them in this first ever game. They certainly haven't looked out of place.
Clearance provided by Tyler Pollock. Castro tumbling over, and now they're going to blow the whistle.
Well, I thought initially the referee was going to let it go because both of them were tugging away at each other. It was a little 50-50. I thought it was a good call to not blow the whistle. Longmire just knocking it off the shins of Scarlett. Longmire, the 10th overall pick back in 2022 with Nashville. Let's take a look. It was likely a foul there, but then he took Castro down. The whistle came late.
Waldeck. That's a nice ball forward for Heel.
Heel's had a quiet second half, Mark. He can change games in a second.
Lewis. Out wide to Metzner. Andre Lewis, a new presence in the middle of the pitch for Spokane.
Andre Lewis, when he's been able to stay on the field, has been a consistent offensive threat. He just had an ACL tear and was 6 months injured in 2017. He had a tough season last year with Hartford. The team struggled from start to finish. I wonder if that's a reason for some of these championship players that are playing with the lower end teams to say, hey, I can come into League One and play with a winning team right away. USL Championship, one of the toughest leagues in the world, just with the travel alone.
Yeah, an element I think some players who come in internationally really don't get an idea of until they're in it.
Yes.
There's a different kind of shape you got to keep yourself in.
It's almost like the championship in England, right? The midweek games. Not as many obviously here, but it's a grind from start to finish in the USL Championship. Second half is underway in Statesboro. Still 2-0 Fuego there. Perhaps to some people's surprise. That was another one of those teams we didn't know what we were going to get, Mark. Just like Spokane, right? Almost a completely new squad. Just the two retained. There was some eyebrows when raised when they made some of those signings. There was some decent names brought in.
Andre Lewis taking some contact from Corvino there, and he'll quickly restart it. Reedy will chase this one, forcing Schultz to just give it the boot.
Corvino, one of the guys came through a tryout with Greenville. Right, he said, you can see from the moment he stepped on, there's a potential signing, competitiveness, his desire to win. He knew right away he'd offer him a deal.
As this one just bounces wide. Got Garner sprawling.
Was it Darling with the chance? We've even said if Darling got the service, he would be dangerous. He hasn't quite got it consistently enough tonight. So a chance there that could certainly have found the bottom corner. Time as a youth with Manchester United as well as Burnley, Josh Darling. Who's a Manchester United fan cheerful when Liverpool play Man City Mark as they are tomorrow?
I don't know how many scenarios where that's the case.
I think they'll be cheering for a draw. Oh. Got away with it there, did Leo Castro?
Going along the sideline, just taking the contact right now. Longmire jousting in. And now it'll be a Greenville free kick.
80th minute, Leo Castro. 34-year-old, turned 35 in May. Still with the legs to toy with defenders. This time it was Ahmed Longmire. Just great body control by Castro and the strength. Not sure how much of a foul there was in that, but
yeah.
I think he was just rewarded for the work he'd done prior to it. Velasquez on the field now.
These are the two coaches for Spokane. Castro back to Corvino. And that one's out for a corner kick. Metzner couldn't quite keep it in play. So the Triumph Another set piece opportunity here. A lot of emphasis put on set pieces this year from Rick Wright. He said that about 60% of goals in USL League One are scored from set pieces, which means you need to put a good amount of time into those moments, whether they be free kicks, corner kicks.
So the loss of Aaron Walker did take a good chunk of the free kicks, especially, not so much the corners. Gavilanes took a lot of corners last year, lost a ton of their set piece guys from last season. Let's see Velasquez stepped up earlier and took some.
Polak putting it forward for Corvino. Now Dulling popping it ahead. Here comes Spokane. Lewis with Reedy streaking forward. Switching over to the right, Hackworth. Trying to serve it inside, but instead it's glanced away. Castro, once again, showing his stuff, but now the whistle blows.
Is he offside on the original pass? I guess so.
It's in our head official, Nick Rodfate.
Although they're giving the free kick inside the Greenville half, so that makes no sense whatsoever. Looked like he was giving the offside signal.
And last bit of football for Leo Castro here. He'll be subbed out, and Hassan Gabo will come into the game. On top of that, Oliver Hald comes in for Evan Lee. These substitutions brought to you by Spinks. Getting defensive here for Greenville.
Hald more of a fullback. Looks like he's going to settle into that defensive midfield spot. That'd be nice if Greenville could find somebody with a bit of flexibility. He's got a history of finding guys that can play multiple positions. So useful in USL League One with a limited budget to find guys that can play in lots of different positions. And he gets back to his feet. Oliver Hald, the man out of Denmark, rookie out of SMU. Wright was saying what a passer of the ball he is.
Metaner will be the one to loft this one in play. No one's nearby. Maybe we can anticipate he's one of those catapult throwers. Make this a scoring chance from a throw-in.
Hassan Gabo just some fresh legs in the midfield. Normally a defender as well.
Gabo blocking off that cross.
Just a ton of time last season with the knee injury.
Sikowski could track this one down. Ben Sikowski, 2-on-1 there, and Andre Lewis wins it for Spokane.
Derek Waldeck's legs there were thanking Andre Lewis for tracking back and helping out. Those young legs of Sikowski were challenging.
Nice boot down the field as well from Lewis after the fact. Just gave the ball a little chip and then ripped his laces through it. Longmire puts it through the middle to Lodge. Spokane running out of time here. And then that one, just a little too much juice on it from Reedy, trying to connect with Heel.
Just got some work to do in the final third. Stuff that'll come with just playing together, continuing to train together.
Yeah, it's not as concerning when the chances are coming, which they've had moments throughout this game.
Yeah,
it's when you're not making anything happen in that final third that you can start getting concerned, but that hasn't been the case this evening for Spokane. And we've seen flashes and a couple of standout players. I think I would say Pierre Reedy been really an impressive showing here in the first game for Spokane.
Certainly encouraging spots there.
Scarlett trying to keep that one in play after jostling with Longmire. Lewis. Now Reedy with a stop. Playing it back.
Lewis's pass was just behind him. If he put it into stride there, more of a chance to perhaps get a goal, another goal-scoring chance, but the ball just lacked a bit of pace and direction. It slowed things down a bit. Another chance goes begging.
Substitution for Spokane. In the 87th minute, entering the match, number 7, Michael Rojas.
Michael Rojas subbing in for Pierre Reedy, so that's the last bit of action from Reedy for tonight.
Another guy that Lee Wieben was high on. High energy guy, Michael Rojas. The rookie. Didn't play a ton. University of Washington, transferred to UMass. He played a little more. Washington native, always good to see local boys playing in their home states. Sikowski goes down.
Sikowski playing it back.
Busy March, Mark.
Oh,
This
yeah.
game's going to come thick and fast here Friday. Lexington against Chattanooga. 4 games on the 16th. Spokane will obviously have their home opener against the Richmond Kickers in their season opener. Charlotte hosting One Knox as both those two teams get their seasons underway. Tormenta hosting Madison. Fuego hosting Omaha. And obviously the Cup gets going that same week. During the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll have games for you.
It's going to be a hot minute before Greenville play again. You know, their next game will be an Open Cup matchup against Phantoms.
That's right. And Spokane, I think, play Ballard, if I'm not mistaken. Ballard FC in the Cup, Mark. You might have to.
I have to fact check that one for you.
I'll do that for
Their
you.
next game is against Richmond. That's their next
is.
matchup in general.
Ballard FC, USL League Two champions last year.
They've been competitive.
They're losing the championship. I know they were certainly super
Fall foul there on Corvino. Minute and a half of the allotted 90 minutes, and then we'll see how much time is tacked on after that. Well, Ross, it's back to that discussion every year. You're going to touch base on this at some point in time, analytics. You look at the expected goals in this game. Spokane 1.8, Greenville 0.91.
Yeah, it's just been a battle of clinicality, and Greenville have won that battle tonight. And Ballard will host Spokane on the 20th. That's a Wednesday.
That's the same day Greenville play, but they won't have a League One game in between that.
Ballard are the defending League Two champions. Defeated Lionbridge. I remember it was a classic stoppage time goal. You can probably see the replay of that online somewhere.
Metenair, once again, going to chuck this one around the 6-yard line, it appears. That's where all of his teammates are bulking up.
It's a shame we haven't really got to see what Metenair can bring. There's the highlights of him playing for Minnesota and just bombing down that right sideline. Beautiful crosser of the ball. Good long throw too, apparently.
3 minutes of stoppage time for the second half.
Hear it over the PA. 3 minutes of stoppage time.
Garner, he's done what he's had to do tonight. Made that one spectacular save with the left paw. Otherwise, just been very steady. Certainly hasn't looked out of place.
Sometimes it's just that one moment that you're asked to make as the goalkeeper that's pivotal, because think about it, if he wasn't able to come up there, it's 2-1 Spokane, and obviously that changes how the game looks for almost the entire second half.
Yeah, certainly there's good times to make saves, there's no doubt about it. It's never a bad time to make a save, but
right.
Good time to make a great save like that. Certainly change the momentum of a game. Hopefully some of the Spokane fans can make their way over to Ballard, just in the Seattle suburbs, for that US Open Cup match. We've had so much fun doing Open Cup games over the years. We'll see some controversy, we'll say, in the US Open Cup this year, but listen, I still think it's one of the best competitions in the country. Again, I'm excited to see the One Spokane Stadium, 5,000 capacity, second highest stadium in League One mark behind NOCO. It's 1,900 feet above sea level. 4.5 hour trip from Spokane to Seattle if fans want to make that trip. I know it's a midweek one, so it could be tough, but some of the amount of season ticket holders they've got, hopefully they'll make the trip, especially some of those fans at Brick West Brewing tonight. Hopefully they've enjoyed the broadcast despite the result. I think there's plenty of things to look forward to following this performance.
Yeah, you can see the pieces. I would not say this is overall a concerning display of capability from Spokane.
No, in Greenville, no matter the changes, still a ton of retention there, especially along the back line, like that man, Tyler Polak. Certainly weren't going to be pushovers. Saw some predictions of 11th and 9th from certain media members out there. Showing tonight what they can do. They're on their finishing form.
Yeah, they're showing they're a bit dynamic offensively right now, and
that's what Rick White said he was looking to bring. He certainly showed it at times tonight. Taking their chances particularly well. That Evan Lee goal and that Leo Castro goal end up being the difference.
It's a hearty welcome to USL League One provided by the Greenville Triumph to the Spokane Velocity. The home side winning 3-1 against the brand new club. An impressive showing for a very first head coaching game for Rick Wright and his side. It'll be Evan Lee with the game-winning goal in this one. The one-timer knocking it through after it's a good service from Ryan McKinnon, Zion Scarlett, and one Leo Castro. We'll step aside for a break. When we come back, post-game coverage here on ESPN+. Can you hear me?
Welcome to Wood Creek Dental, where dental care is a family tradition. For over 40 years, we are proud to be a family-owned practice serving the community of Greenville, South Carolina. At Wood Creek Dental, we believe in quality care and exceptional service. Our experienced dentists and dedicated staff are committed to your oral health. We've invested in modern technology and have created a relaxing atmosphere for your comfort and peace of mind. We prioritize your experience in our calm and caring atmosphere. Our commitment to providing you and your family with exceptional service is at the heart of everything we do, and our patient-centered approach builds relationships based on trust and confidence. Experience the difference for yourself. Wood Creek Dental. Dental care from our family to yours.
You know, I'm just feeling a lot of pressure. There's big shoes to fill.
It's your time now, Tommy. I know you'll keep it special like your dad did.
If we can keep this business growing, I think that's the best way to honor him.
I was there for him, and I'll be there for you.
About this new location?
He would have loved it, Tommy. Let's find a way.
As we welcome you back here to Paladin Stadium, match day one over for Spokane and Greenville Triumph. Your final score, 3-1 in favor of the home side. Mark Schoenster, Ross Davenport with you here on ESPN+. First up, let's take a look at your full-time highlights brought to you by GSP Airport. The penalty from Ryan McKinnon giving Spokane the opportunity to score their first ever club goal, and Josh Dolling puts it away.
Yeah, they couldn't have asked for a better start. Started brightly. Greenville also started on the front foot. Equalize here on a bit of a freaky goal. It was a good header by Schultz. Scarlett was obviously, I think he was just trying to cross it in, but just the way the ball spun. And he get credited with the goal that tied things up 1-1, his first professional goal.
And we see here the goal that gave the lead to the Greenville Triumph, and it's also our adjustment of the match, brought to you by Upstate Spine and Sport. Evan Lee, heads up moment there, one-timer volley, puts it in the back of the net, and that would be all they needed to take the lead. But then, why not add a little nasty goal on top of it to make it 3-1? Leo Castro opening up his account on the season, and that is one way to get it going for a goal scorer.
Gets his shoe shined as a reward by Chapo Herrera. Your final stat, shots on target, as we mentioned, close. Last year just didn't quite make Christian Garner do as much work as they should have. It was his birthday, maybe they were just being kind to it.
Well, those are your full-time stats brought to you by Coca-Cola. Already mentioned, next time Greenville will play will be on the 20th against Bantams in the Open Cup. Meanwhile, Lee Wiedemann and his side will go home to get their first ever home game against the Richmond Kickers next weekend on the 16th. Should be a lot of fun there. And we had a lot of fun in this one for 90-plus minutes. Spokane get their first ever goal, but do not get any points. Greenville starting off the season in winning terms. For our entire broadcasting crew, for Ross Davenport, I'm Mark Schoenster. We appreciate you tuning in. We hope you have a fantastic night. And now on to the rest of the USL League One season on ESPN+.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League League One cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League League One.